Central Market came to be through a variety of different ways, and it was all happenstance. On one hand, I had just finished recording with my band Battles, our last record, and I was really excited about the composition and the arrangement of that, and it was a really thrilling experience to do that. So that's on one hand. On the other hand, with my solo music, through looping, I had always tried to simulate more than one person playing, in particular the color of a large group or a large orchestra. So I was always simulating those things, and I felt like now would be a great time to be able to kind of push myself to the next step, and instead of simulating, actually go for it. The first piece I started working on when devising what this record could possibly be was the fourth track, which is the kind of the largest track, called Platinum Rose. And I just knew that I want to have a piece where the counterpoint and the harmonic decisions that I had to make wouldn't be so instantaneous. In other words, I was used to working with smaller little modules, and that wasn't as fulfilling anymore, the smaller loops, so I wanted to have something larger. Looping for me is a very important process as far as composition is concerned, and it doesn't even really matter if the repetition of it doesn't matter. You can have a loop that's 3 minutes long and work inside of that. The great thing about it is, in comparison to working, for instance, with MIDI, where electronic music can feel very cold when you're composing, looping this way, at least in the way that I'm singing and playing guitar and using different instruments, I get to have that visceral feel of seeing how the music feels when you play it, and that informs me a lot of my compositional decision making. I made demos or kind of audio sketches of all of these pieces beforehand, of me playing all the parts myself, just so I could see what the character of the piece would be. Once I made them and I kind of understood how the pieces worked, then I started thinking more about orchestration, thinking about parts that I actually couldn't play and maybe other people would be able to play. And yeah, that's when I roped Caleb into coming down to the practice space.
I was introduced to Ty via our friend Ronan Giavoni, who runs Wordless Music and also books some various things at Le Poisson Rouge. And Ronan and I started the Wordless Music Orchestra a couple years ago. And Ty had this project that he needed basically an orchestra for, and so we went down to his rehearsal studio, and he played us some of the tracks, and we decided that it was something that we should definitely work on. I just merely got the gang together to record this stuff, and everyone pretty much laid it down pretty quickly, and it was a lot of fun in the studio. And yeah, Ty just really did a great job of orchestrating, so it made everyone's job really easy.
Often you hear a lot of electronic music being recorded direct into an interface or a board, so there's no acoustic sound, or if there is, it's synthetically applied with reverb, a reverb plugin or something, and then an acoustic recording on top of it. So you get this fight between these two worlds. So it was important to me to record all of the music in a room, or at least take everything that was recorded and feed it through this really huge PA and this gallery, and kind of homogenize the environment in a way. And I think that makes the piece feel more alive, makes it feel more real.
He really very well integrated the electronics with the acoustic instruments, so much so that it's hard for me to tell sometimes what's real and what's not anymore, and even after I've heard the recording a million times.
A word that I always talk about when I talk about these kind of pieces that excite me is polarity, and I feel like positive and negative have to be working simultaneously for a piece to have real life. If something is just positive or just negative, it's two-dimensional. Narrative-wise, there is a narrative, there is a kind of arc in its color, but in a way I kind of leave it up to the listener to interpret that however they would like to. Some people say it's happy, some people say it's kind of manic, and some people say it's kind of naive, and they're all right. And I hope people understand that the journey of it is the thing it's really thrilling to me, and that I'm not using it in a way to show how complicated things can be or how crazy things can be. It's a very honest approach at this music, and I hope people can appreciate it from that angle.